Oh.
Forget something for your project? We've got you. At HomeDepot.com, get fast, free delivery on millions of items for whatever you're working on, same day or next day. We bring what you need, and you bring it to life. Get fast, free delivery only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select in-stock items by 4 p.m., subject to availability.
This old house is supported by True Green. A thriving spring lawn doesn't happen on its own. It requires the right combination of seasonal maintenance, nutrient support, and a plan tailored to your lawn's unique needs. True Green's lawn care experts understand exactly what your grass needs in spring, from proper feeding and soil preparation to treatment strategies designed to set your lawn up for long-term success. Whether you're tackling early season weeds, refreshing thinning turf, or building a healthier foundation for the months ahead, the pros at True Green will ensure it's done right. As America's #1 lawn care company, True Green has more than 200 branches nationwide, serving over 2.3 million customers locally. To learn more about True Green's range of lawn care services, visit truegreen.com to create a customized spring lawn care plan that gives your lawn the boost it needs to grow greener, thicker, and stronger this season.
It's time to give your garage door the attention it deserves. From LAist and APM, American Public Media, it's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. Here's how to take care of the heaviest thing in your house before it breaks.
Once a year, you can spray some silicone spray in the pivot point. Those are all the hinges. Those get some wear and tear.
Senior Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy returns to the Sacramento home that laid the foundation for his lifelong belief in tolerance, justice, and the law.
There was a ranch that the Japanese had been farming. The owner wanted to sell it to him, and he said, no, it would be wrong of me to buy it after we relocated them. We didn't get a monetary inheritance, we got an ethical inheritance.
Learn how to clean, protect, and save your furniture the right way. All of this, plus we're answering your home improvement questions at 877-864-7460. Coming up next. It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. You know, there's more than 80 million homes with a garage in the U.S., which means for most of us, the garage isn't just a space, it's a system. And at the center of it is the garage door, the largest moving thing in your home, opening and closing more than 1,000 times a year. It protects your car, your tools, and everything inside. But like anything that works that hard, it needs attention. So we called Jake Rose from Superior Overhead Doors to walk us through how to take care of it before it becomes a problem. Jake, when do you know if it's time for a new garage door or motor?
Typically, a garage door will tell you when it's time for a new one. It'll be falling apart. Mostly older garage doors made out of wood. They'll start rotting from the bottom and soaking up moisture. That'll tell you that it's time to look at some new door options. For the garage door openers, they'll get loud, the chain will start to sag, and they just won't function as they should.
So what should you keep in mind when you're shopping for a garage door replacement?
You want to find something that fits your style. So there's many different styles and patterns out there. The other things to look for is a good insulation value. If you're up in the colder climates, you can go with polystyrene insulation, which is like the basic. It's like 6.5 R value. Then you can go to a polyurethane one. That'll get you up to 9.
And aside from keeping your garage comfortable, are there any other benefits to using, like you say, an insulated garage door?
One of the benefits of doing the insulated door, it's a 3-layer door. So you have steel, insulation, and steel. So it kind of strengthens the door. With the single-layer doors, the pan doors, there's a lot of flex and bind. They're noisy, and they'll split eventually if they're not installed right. And then your door basically rip in half like a tuna can.
And so are you talking about the different panels that sort of like roll up versus one that lifts in one solid motion as a solid piece?
Yeah, so typically we deal with the sectional overhead doors, which is each section stacks on top and then rolls through the radius.
What's the difference between a belt and a chain drive motor?
The belt drive, it'll have steel cables running through the rubber belt and it'll give it strength, and they're a little quieter than the chain drives. The chain drive, it's just like your typical bicycle. where it's just on a sprocket and just runs. The heavier duty motors, they'll run on chains, so they're a little bit stronger. But the belts, it's more convenient for homeowners to have a quiet, smooth running door.
When it comes to keeping your garage door working properly, what kind of maintenance should you be doing, whether it's a belt drive or a chain drive, depending on the type of garage door you have?
With the belts, you can take white lithium grease and you can kind of lubricate the belt to stop the squeaking. With the chain, you can spray a little light silicone spray on it, but I don't recommend it because then you park your car under it. So if anything's dripping, it's going to drip all over your car. So I typically don't recommend spraying anything over, like on the motor, right where you park your car, prevent damage. But as for the garage door, what you want to do is once a year, you can spray some silicone spray in the pivot points. Those are all the hinges, the stems of the rollers, and then the ball bearings in the rollers. Those get some wear and tear. And then depending on the spring system you have, if it's torsion or extension, you can lubricate the torsion spring and the bearings on the shaft. And then with the extension springs, there's 4 pulleys. You can lubricate the ball bearings inside those pulleys as well.
So let's say you want to replace your own garage door. What kind of things should you keep in mind?
The mistake most people do is they just take the sections out and throw them back into the existing track for the old door. Doors are designed by different manufacturers to fit in with each manufacturer's track. So manufacturer A's track won't really work for manufacturer B's track. So it's good to just take everything out, start fresh. You want to make sure that you have a good solid surface to lag your door to. We recommend just taking sheetrock out and then putting up like 2x4, some plywood on the flat so you have a good surface to mount to.
Do you have any pro tips that people usually overlook when they're replacing their garage doors?
Your headroom is the distance between the opening height and your ceiling, because you don't want to have a garage that has 6-foot tall ceilings and then your garage door is right at 7 foot and your tracks are right there. Another thing people try to do is reuse your old opener, but it doesn't really have that much lifespan in it. So like it could work for a couple of months. Sometimes it is better to just bite the bullet and replace your door and opener all at once. But if it's newer, within like the last 5 to 6 years, you can definitely reconnect it.
So do you have any recommendations for keeping your existing garage door draft-free and maybe better insulated?
One of the other things that people try to do is if they have a pan door, they try to stick insulation, like the foam insulation you can buy at your local retail store. That adds weight to the door. And what people don't realize is the springs that are engineered for your garage door, they're engineered for the weight of that door. So when you add the weight of the insulation, even though it's not much and you won't think that it's much, it does decrease the spring life. So it'll cause premature failure of your springs. And another way you can seal the outside is there's a vinyl weather stop that you can get, and that will seal the drafts up against your garage door. But if you do get a strong wind-driven storm, there is play in the hinges, and you will get a little bit of wind blowing in. The garage door is not weather tight, it's just a barrier. Water is going to find the path of least resistance, and it's going to go under the rubber, or it could drip down the seals.
I know my garage door, I use my garage as a workshop. And so it's so uncomfortable how drafty our garage door is, but it's not that old, but I can literally see daylight along the edge of it. Is that something weather stripping could fix, or do I need a new door?
No, you can do new weather seal because over time, the vinyl flap on the weather seal becomes brittle. So you can definitely take the weather seal off, replace it with new, kind of set it a little tighter. And then some garage door tracks have adjustable tracks. So you can crack those nuts loose and kind of push it towards the seal more.
I think that's going to be my weekend project this weekend. Well, we thank you for your advice. Thank you so much for being here, Jake.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
For more information on door maintenance, go to thisoldhouse.com. Right now, we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Sierra LaRose from Kingsley, Michigan.
Hi, Sierra. What's your question today?
So I have it's a very old farmhouse moved here in 1910. And the walls and ceiling and everything have been shifting over time. And all of our windows are a little difficult to shut, but we have an upstairs bedroom window that we cannot get shut. And so I was curious if there's kind of like a hack to getting that to realign without replacing the entire window and frame.
Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty chilly there in Michigan this time of year with a slightly open window.
Yeah, it's very cold.
We've got Zach Detmore, general contractor for the show, here on the line to help.
I got to say, you sound amazing for your age. You said you moved to this house 110 years ago? Or the house moved there 110 years ago?
The house moved here, so I actually don't know the original age. It was it was two different houses taken apart and then moved by horse and wagon and put back together.
Horse and wagon.
Man, labor prices were cheaper back then, right?
Yeah, I mean...
You know what would be a great use of our town? To take these two separate houses, put them on a wagon, and reassemble them somewhere. Holy smokes. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a problem I know only too well in my 110 plus year old house. I think the first thing to understand is the anatomy of what I'm assuming is a double hung window, meaning the top sash, which is the glass portion, and the bottom sash, which is the glass portion, sort of move independently of each other up and down. Is that true?
No, it's actually just one pane. It's just one square window that opens out.
Oh, it opens out.
With like a crank mechanism.
Is it like an ancient crank, or you think this window was replaced at some point? Is it all wood?
Yeah, it is all wood. I think it must have been replaced at some point.
Okay, so explain to me, you're going through the operation of opening or closing this window, and at what point does it stop, and how big is the gap?
So it stops just short of catching the latch mechanism, and the gap is probably 3/4 an inch, maybe an inch. So the window is lower than the frame. So the bottom part of the window is not coming in. Yeah, it needs to go up probably about 1/2 an inch.
Oh, so it's sort of the hinge side is lower and the strike side is higher. So it's the bottom of the window is hitting the bottom of the jamb and keeping it from closing.
Correct. Yeah. And this has happened over the 7 years that we moved here. It shut when we moved here, but we have done a lot of foundation repairs and adjustments. And I think through that, it's shifted things more.
Gotcha.
This is not a solution, but we had these crank out windows in our house when we lived in Massachusetts. And in the summer, they would swell. So they just you couldn't pull it. There was nothing to pull on to pull it in to catch the latch. So I would actually put a suction cup on there, or I would have my husband go outside and push from the outside just to get it past that stuck part. And it only happened for probably a month during the summer when the wood swelled up. But it was really hard to get a swing out window to pull back because there's nothing to grab onto.
Right. Yeah. Suction cup's a good idea.
I love the suction cup. I think you solved this. Right? Because there's no way in the middle of a Michigan winter you're solving this now. But the problem is he's freezing in this room. I think if you can get it closed temporarily.
To latch.
It'll
really pull it in and create the seal that you're looking for, at least until you can assess it when it's warmer.
You're going to pull it in and also lift it up, kind of twist it into that jamb to at least get it good enough. And then what's going to have to happen is someone is going to have to loosen this window up and jack up the hinge side of it, and that will solve your problem long term. But I don't think you want to do that right now. So I'm with Jen. Suction cup for the win.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll just get a real heavy-duty suction cup and give her a pull.
Yeah, certainly. And if that doesn't work, buy him a blanket and put it over the window.
Yeah.
It's important to remember when the window is in the closed position, it's maintaining its height because weight is evenly distributed along the bottom of it. When you open it, it's only forcing down the hinge side of it, which is causing it to drop, which makes me think there's just no shim there. And maybe adding the shim will just lift the thing up and you're good to go because these frames are trash.
Okay. All right. Well, in the meantime, I'm going to get a suction cup.
Yeah, get the suction
cup.
Do
an internet search for a good one and you'll be good to go. You'll go around and do all your windows.
All right, good luck with it. Take care.
Hey, thanks so much. Take care.
Coming up, we answer more of your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. It's This Old House Radio Hour. Today's episode is supported by Quo, spelled Quo, the modern alternative to run your business communications. Quo understands just how much the basic stuff matters, like how you should talk to customers and keep your team on the same page. Their cleaner, more modern setup can make everything feel smoother and bring the level up mindset to your business. Quo allows your entire team to handle calls and texts from one shared number, so there's no more missed messages or disconnected conversations. Since everyone sees the full thread, replies are faster and customers feel genuinely cared for. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/thisoldhouse. That's quo.com/thisoldhouse. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers.
Oh. Forget something for your project? We've got you. At HomeDepot.com, get fast, free delivery on millions of items for whatever you're working on, same day or next day. We bring what you need, and you bring it to life. Get fast, free delivery only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select in-stock items by 4 p.m., subject to availability.
We get support from Fast Growing Trees. You don't need a big yard to bring life to your home. Fast Growing Trees offers everything from privacy evergreens to indoor lemon, avocado, and fig trees that thrive in smaller spaces. They have more varieties of plants and trees than your local garden center, all with expert care and guaranteed to thrive in your space. It's the easiest way to get your dream yard or indoor garden delivered right to your front door in just a few days. Right now, stock up for spring with the plants and trees you need. Select varieties are up to half off. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code THISOLDHOUSE at checkout. That's an additional 20% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code THISOLDHOUSE. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code THISOLDHOUSE. Now is the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together using This Old House to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Welcome back to This Old House Radio Hour. Right now we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Or you can leave us a voicemail anytime. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, my name is Pam Montanelli, and I am from San Diego, California.
Hi, Pam. What's your question today?
So my question is it possible to balance an HVAC system, the heat and the air conditioning in a home? I've been told you can, but my house is on balance.
Well, to help answer your question, we have Ross Trithui, a building engineer for the show, and Zach Detmore, a general contractor for the show, both here to help.
Ross, I'm curious, if you took all the houses in the United States in general, how many of them post-installation do you think the technicians are sort of walking through and actually confirming that the conditioned air is being delivered where it's supposed to be?
Very few.
Very few, right? So most
Very
people
few.
are going to have a house that's out of balance in general.
Yeah, there was a study done. 70% of homes have some sort of uncomfortable room or rooms within the home. So 7 out of 10. So we're getting it about 3 out of 10 right.
So Pam, you're in the majority.
Okay.
The vast majority.
Well, I guess that makes me feel good, but I'm like, I don't like it.
That's fair.
You got to buy at least 8 more houses to get one that's comfortable.
So Pam, let me take a guess here. You have a central return, like a big return in your hallway outside of the bedrooms. And then you have small registers run to all of your rooms And the rooms that are closest to the air conditioning unit in the attic are coldest. And the rooms that are farthest away down the end of the house are the warmest in the summer.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly right. I had to.
You just described 7 out of 10 homes in America right there. And think about it, right? The air is going to take the path of least resistance. So if it has the chance to go to the room right next to the air conditioning unit or the room at the far end of the hallway, all the way down the other end of the house, which way is the air going to go? You know, I think we know the answer to that question. That's why the duct sizing and the balancing matters. You have a central air conditioning system, right? So a ducted system that's, you know, basically heating air and cooling air and distributing it through your house. Is that right?
That's right. And the
Okay.
HVAC is in the attic, I guess, and the air conditioner units are outside at the side of the house.
Sure. The answer is yes, you can definitely rebalance an air conditioning system. And so what we commonly see is what you described, which is that we have imbalances in temperature because you have a really hot room that doesn't get enough air in the summertime and a really cold room that gets way too much air. And that's really just a function of the ductwork and the registers that are providing the air to that room and the return air pathway back to the air conditioning unit to get recooled.
But when you say rebalance and you need to get to that stuff, are we putting holes in things?
It might not be invasive at all. There may be balancing dampers installed in the ductwork. And so you can measure the airflow with like a thing called the flow hood. You can measure the airflow coming out of the room register, and you can compare that to what the room needs for airflow. Mm-hmm. So you can assess whether we're short or we have too much air or too little air. And then from there, you can set the balancing damper appropriately for that room so you deliver the right amount of air. Now, if they don't have balancing dampers, or if the static, what they call static pressure, meaning the resistance in the ductwork is too high, like the example I give is that you had, let's say we needed an 8-inch round duct to that room and they only ran a 6, then we might not have enough, oomph, enough, air moving through that system. And so with that, we might need to do some duct modifications, to get the right amount of air to the room. So balancing dampers can be added at the kind of first pass. And then if you can't get enough through that system when it's balanced right, then you have to do some duct modifications. So it would all be installed in the attic system through the ductwork that's accessible, hopefully in the attic. In some cases that are fed from the floor, we're doing that in the boot, meaning like in the actual register in the floor, or potentially in the basement, or if the ductwork is accessible from below.
So Ross, who does she need to call to come in and possibly rebalance the system?
Well, she needs to call Zach. But if she doesn't call Zach,
just for a talk, I'm not going to help.
Okay, what's your number?
Then she could call, a local HVAC contractor.
Well, Pam, we wish you luck. Thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Take care, Pam.
Take care. Right now, we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Or you can leave us a voicemail anytime. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, Jen. This is Dan Feigelson from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Ah, a fellow Ohioan. And what's your question today?
So I have a house that I bought about 6 years ago, and it has a retaining wall that's about 5.5 feet tall. And it's a brick veneer wall that has a bulge that's coming out in the middle of it. And I was curious as to why that was happening. And it looks like there's a poured concrete wall that's about 4 feet tall that has a brick veneer on it. But above that wall, it's just brick. There's no concrete behind it. So I'm thinking water may be getting back behind there, and the freeze and the thaw was causing that bulge to happen. Could I just remove the dirt from behind the brick part of that wall and just have it exposed and just leave the dirt behind the concrete part? And will that solve that problem before I go in and start fixing the brick?
That's a great question. We've got our general contractor, Zach Detmore, here on the line, and Mason Mark McCullough, both here to help us out. Zach, why don't you start out?
Sure. I have just the answer for this question. Just teed right up for you, Dan. Okay?
Great.
But
I'm ready.
But just to be safe, I'm going to let Mark just chime in at first, just in case, just to make him feel valid.
We call that a pass, is what we call that.
Well, I appreciate that, Zach. That was a great segue. And Dan, you are on the right path. I understand what you're trying to do by removing the dirt, which ultimately would relieve the pressure and not cause anything else to bulge. The way that I look at any of these problems regarding what I see it as water infiltration. So the first thing you want to do after you remove that dirt would find the source of the water and how is it actually getting. I'm surmising that it's getting in between the brick veneer and that concrete wall.
Well, so where the concrete wall is, there's no bulge at all. It's solid. It looks great. But then all of a sudden, it comes out maybe 2 or 3 inches. It gradually works its way out, the veneer, and then it kind of works its way back. So it's just like this pimple in the top part of this wall. Now, the prior owner has tuck pointed it, so there's no cracks in the joints, but it just looks a little bit weird. It hasn't moved in the last 5 or 6 years that we've lived there. There are weep holes at the bottom of the wall. There's 5 of those holes with pipes coming out to allow drainage to come out for the bottom part. But I'm just thinking maybe the brick is too porous at the top and water's getting in there.
Yes. So the first thing I would do is check all the joints to make sure they are tight. Even a very, very hairline fracture in the mortar going to the brick obviously will let water in, but the amount of water would surprise you. What I think you have right now, if you haven't seen any damage in the last 5 or 6 years since you've been there, the previous homeowner has probably solved the problem, and the problem would be the water infiltration. It's very difficult, unless you're a professional, to get rid of that bulge, because to get rid of the bulge, obviously, you're going to have to take the brick out and then relay them.
Well, I've done a little bit of tuck pointing here and there, but it's a pretty big wall, and it's right in the front of the house, and it probably would not look so good if I did it. I've watched you on TV doing it, and you do a great job, but I don't have that level of skill.
Mark, can you share with us what tuck pointing is exactly?
So yeah, because Jen and I know what it is, but
we totally know. But
there might be 1 or 2 people listening who don't know what that is, or weep holes for that matter.
So I was going to touch on the weep holes. Dan, I did want to ask you, are those weep holes active? And what I mean by that is, do you see remnants of water after a rainstorm? So if water does get behind that brick, it does drain out?
I see dirt that comes out of it, so I think they are active.
So that being said, that's a little scary, because without stating the obvious, and I'll get back to the repointing in 1 second, Zach, if you see dirt in those weep holes, that means dirt is being carried through the back of the brick and making its way to those weep holes. So I would first do some discovery and see where that dirt is coming from. Again, if you've already removed some dirt from behind the wall, you may want to remove some more. Because eventually that dirt is definitely going to clog up those weep holes, and that's when you're going to start to see the brick really move around during the freeze thaw. And again, just to get back to the tuck pointing,
Zach and I are on the edge of our seats over here waiting for the tuck pointing.
Apparently Dan's the only other person on this call who knows what tuck pointing is.
So tuck pointing is you take an existing masonry joint, you take it back with a grinder or a chisel, depending on how much you have to do, and you take it back about 3/4 of an inch, and that will give you enough bite to put the new mortar in. And the new mortar, again, is done with a trowel and a jointer. Some people call it a pointer, but technically it's a jointer. Dan, just make sure you find the source of that dirt and alleviate that, because again, if it's not causing you problems now, and it sounds like it's not, but eventually that dirt is going to clog those weeps, and that's when you're going to start all over again with the freeze-thaw damage.
All right, I'll get to work on that. I'll let you know how it goes.
Thank you, Dan.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Call us now at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Or you can leave us a voicemail anytime. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Adam.
Adam, where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Los Angeles.
And what's your question?
My question is related to the humidity control in our house. What started as an attempt to reduce the level of radon on the bottom floor. We have a 3-story home.
Mm-hmm.
and it's on a downslope of a hill. So if you're on the street, it looks like a ranch, and then it goes 3 stories down.
Wow.
So the bottom floor had a little bit of an odor, and we noticed that odor, and then my wife caught on to radon levels. It's something we had never heard of. So we were right on the cusp. I think it was a low level, but enough that we wanted to try to get the air out of the crawl space beneath the home on the first floor. The bottom floor has a deck attached to the house. So the air underneath the deck and the house can kind of interchange. And so what I did was I opened an access panel on the exterior deck and put a fan in. And I want to know if I should have an intake to bring air in under the deck, or if it's better to kind of have it airtight with just a fan simply pulling the air out.
Absolutely. We've got Zach Detmore, a general contractor for this old house, here on the line. Zach, did you catch all that?
Some of it. Sounds like a cool house. I got that part of it.
That's the important part.
So if we looked at the profile of this house, we should be able to draw a line around the whole house that make up the envelope. So inside is the air you breathe. Outside is the air that's not controlled and is unconditioned, right? Now, this radon fan
That's right.
Should be sucking from technically outside the envelope, meaning that it's negatively pressurizing the area outside the envelope below the house, so that as radon gas, which is coming up through the voids in the rock that you're built on, the path of least resistance is into the fan and then up out the pipe through the top of the house. In an ideal situation, the radon fan shouldn't be negatively pressurizing the crawl space in such a way that makeup air is necessary.
With the radon, once I opened the access panel on the deck, which it's connected to so the crawl space beneath the deck is connected to the crawl space under the house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not in the envelope, but I've noticed that the air underneath the deck, it can, when I pull the air out from underneath the deck, it pulls the air from underneath the home as well. Probably just
what's the air barrier or insulation that is separating the crawl space from the envelope of the house?
That's a great question. So it's the concrete foundation that we built the home on.
Got it. Okay, so a slab,
so
and probably the chink in the armor is whatever cold joint there is between the walls and the floor of that slab. So what is your biggest concern with all of this? What's the major thing we can help you solve?
Yeah, so I think I have everything under control. I think the radon's under control, the humidity's under control. My concern was getting, as is the case when you get online and start reading, you end up with more concerns than you started with. And I started reading about the stacking effect and negative pressure. And that got me concerned about, the number of windows we have in the home, a lot of sliders, just a lot of glass. I'd say it's almost 50% glass on the exterior. So my concern was creating any sort of, probably not using the right terminology, but creating a vacuum that could impact the windows and just the integrity of the home.
Got it. So I wouldn't worry about the integrity of the home in terms of something breaking or increased maintenance costs, because you're not creating a high enough vacuum. If you are creating a high enough vacuum, what you can buy is a product that looks like a smoke detector, but it's actually a radon, humidity, and temperature sensing device. You'll mount that in your crawl space or in your basement probably, and turn down the radon fan to the point where it's managing it, but you're not overkilling the negative pressure to the point that you are sucking your conditioned air and blowing it out into the environment, right? Because your biggest risk right now is you're paying to condition the space, and then you're sucking it outside, and that's causing you to spend more in utilities and utilize more fuel than you would need to power your home. So I think I would invest in one of those devices to monitor not only humidity and temperature, but radon. And then you can put it in the crawl space. You can move it around. It just has 2 AA batteries and it'll connect to your phone and it'll give you real feedback. And you can also put it closer to radon sources because it'll spike when it's closer to them, and that'll give you data on maybe I just need to seal this crack up better, et cetera, to manage it differently. But in terms of breaking your house and negative pressure, with it being a concrete slab separating the tube, we're talking about pressure being pulled through small cracks, not a problem, nothing to be worried about there at all.
Right. Fantastic.
So you're good to go. But I definitely think you're the type of guy who would benefit from that little device because I think you like the details.
Absolutely. I'm definitely a techie device guy, so I'm going to look it up.
Go
right
for it. Well, good luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your help.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
If you have a question for us, you can always leave us a voicemail on our hotline, 877-864-7460, and we can answer your question next time. Coming up, Senior Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy shows us his old house.
One reason for my reluctance to come to Washington was we loved our home. I told the president, we don't really want to come to Washington. We don't know anybody here. He said, oh, you know me.
That's next on This Old House Radio Hour. It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. Coming up, your sofa and furniture deserve better treatment. A guide to spills, stains, and saving your couch. But first, we go to Sacramento, California. Senior Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy will be remembered for his deep belief in tolerance, something he learned long before joining the nation's highest court. Inside the modest shingle and stucco home where he was raised, those ideas came to life in his father's study, at the dinner table, and at the front door.
My name is Anthony Kennedy, Senior Justice on the Supreme Court of the United States. This is my old house. We moved on a Sunday, and we had to go 20 blocks, not a long way. My father let me ride in the truck, and I was in the middle seat with the driver and my father on the other side. And we'd gone just a few minutes down our own street, and one of the neighbors came out, stopping us, waving a dish towel. He talked to my father, and I thought there was something wrong with the house because my father was very upset. It was Pearl Harbor. We were moving on December 7th, 1941.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, by air, President Roosevelt has just announced.
The house was very real and honest in presenting our lifestyle. It was built in the late 30s in what was then a new neighborhood called William Land Park. They were not mansions by today's standards or standards of those days. What you see is what you get. It's shingle and stucco and has wonderful balance to it. As you enter the house, on the right side is the living room, which opens onto a terrace, which was partially covered so we could use it all year long. If you go on the left, you enter our library, where my father and mother had a wonderful collection of books. They were both avid readers, great scholars of literature. Friends of ours would come in to the house just to look at the book titles and get ideas of what they might want to read, sometimes borrow. And I spent so much of my childhood in our library. The bedroom I shared with my brother was quite a big room. It had windows on 2 sides where we could look out the back. Later on, we had a gun rack because we would go hunting. We kept shotguns and a rifle there. They were never loaded. The ammunition was kept in a separate room, locked up. We also had a full-size basement with a single stairway, so it became a center point for the friends from the neighborhood. For a couple of years, we had a slot machine with a big pot full of nickels, and you could play and see if you could win. And occasionally the nickels would dwindle a little bit because the allowances were not coming, but my friends always came back and filled it up. We would laugh and make jokes and make noise, and the light switch on the top of the stairs, my mother could use it. She would flip it off and we'd be in total darkness. And we'd be at the mercy of her commands until she turned the light back on. We ate home almost every night, and my father was very busy, but it was a point of pride for him to try to be at the dinner table every night and to have a dinner discussion with the family and with any guests that we had. And we had wonderful dinner discussions. We had a chicken coop behind the garage, and I would go out and collect the eggs in the morning. The house had an orange tree, a lemon tree, and a tangerine tree. There was a peach tree that the neighbor had, but one of the big branches came over on our side of the fence, and the arrangement was I could take the peaches from that branch. Our lemon tree went over his fence, so he could take the lemons. Sacramento at the time had a Japanese population, and one of my friends was a Japanese boy, and we would play together. And he would come over to the house and play with my toys, and we went to his house. His big toy was a Sumari doll, a 1.5 feet high, with a sword and a beautiful silk coat, and it was in a glass case. You couldn't touch it. He treasured this, and his family treasured it. And it was in 1942. The front doorbell rang, and it was my friend, and he had the glass case with the Sumari doll in it, and he gave it to me, and there were tears in his eyes. He left to go to what they called the relocation camps. I never saw him again. My father thought that this was very wrong, something he was publicly against. There was a ranch that the Japanese had been farming, and it was empty when they were taken away. My father kept the ranch going. It was asparagus, tomatoes, vegetables. The owner wanted to sell it to him, and he said, no, this belongs to the Japanese. It would be wrong of me to buy it after we've relocated them. You can sell it to the Japanese when they come back. That ranch, if we had it today, is worth millions and millions of dollars. But we didn't get a monetary inheritance. We got an ethical inheritance. My mother lived there alone because my father died when we were rather young. I sometimes would tell her, do you think you need this big house? Maybe we could find you some smaller place. She said, well, then you have to pay for my psychiatrist. This house is my therapy. And she loved that house and kept it full all of the time with people. When we lost my mother, it was natural for us to take over this beautiful home. We moved into the house. My daughter stayed in the same room as my sister had stayed in, and our 2 sons stayed in the same room that had been occupied by me and my brother. One reason for my reluctance to come to Washington was we loved our home. I told the president, we don't really want to come to Washington. We don't know anybody here. He said, oh, you know me. And I said, what am I supposed to do, come for lunch every day? He said, no, the rule is that if I ask you, you have to come. He was right. It was necessary for us to come, especially because it would have deferred the court's appointment for even longer, and the court needed my nomination. And they had any number of cases waiting for me. We knew we had to leave the house. It was gratifying to us that one of our good friends, who had grown up just 2 houses away, purchased the house and loves the house, so we know that the house is in good hands. My mother was right, because in our elderly years now, our own home is something we absolutely love. We walk from room to room and have so many memories. It gives back to you your hopes and dreams, and it still has promises for what lies ahead.
That was Senior Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy. His memoir, Life, Law, and Liberty, is out now from Simon & Schuster. The places in your home where life happens most often need the most attention, and your upholstery is no exception. Your couch is ground zero, hosting sick days, movie nights, spilled drinks, and kid forts. It works hard because it has to. To help you stay ahead of the mess, Mario Alfaro from Redesign Upholstery joins us with simple and practical ways to care for your upholstery so it lasts longer. So Mario, how do you know if your upholstery is durable?
If you pinch the material, you can tell immediately when you pinch it if it's thick enough. If it feels very light, then it might be a more delicate fabric. It doesn't mean it's not durable, but it's more of a delicate fabric. If your upholstery has hold up during parties, gatherings with family, kids jumping around, that's a good tell that your upholstery is durable.
So how can you tell what your upholstery is made out of?
The main thing you have to look for, it's a tag. And a lot of the times there's no tags on them. And what you're looking for is that tag to tell you if it's made out of polyester, if it's made out of cotton, linen, or a blend. And that's how you usually tell what is it made of. Other than that, you might want to look at closely, and if it looks thin or has a lot of texture, it might be more of a natural fabric than a polyester fabric. So that's another way. But usually you want to abide by the manufacturer's tag.
What are most couches made out of? Is it usually a blend anyway?
For the most part, polyester. It's what they're made of. And a blend. I've seen acrylic, I see cotton, linen, but primarily it's going to be polyester, which is a very durable material, though.
And once you know what it's made out of, what is the best way you should be cleaning this kind of furniture?
Oh, tricky. So cleaning it's really hard to figure that out unless you have the manufacturer's recommendation. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times we don't have them. Yeah. And if you don't have them, you have to be careful with it. My advice is for you to be gentle, whether it's a heavy duty or not. Be gentle when you try to clean it. So look for that manufacturer's recommendation. They'll tell you what the code. Usually the code says it's a W, an S, an X. And what that's telling you is if it's an S, it's more of a solvent cleaner. If it's a W, it's a water cleaner. And if it's an X, it's a dry clean only. So the manufacturer's labels are going to tell you a little bit of how to clean it. But I've seen it a lot of times where you can't find the label. So you kind of have to be really careful when you tackle these situations of cleaning them.
So let's say I've got a couch that looks like it's in rough shape and I can't find a tag. What's my first step to start kind of reviving it?
Depending on what it is, like if it's just a normal dusting it down, no big deal. But if there's a stain or something like that, then you have to be more careful. And how to approach it, I like to say probably try some of these cleaners in a hidden spot before you even go and tackle the spot you want to clean on.
Okay, so let's say I have a polyester couch. Can I vacuum it? Can I get it wet? Like, what are the no-nos and where should I start?
Well, usually polyester and more heavy duty. So yes, you can. The first step is to do the vacuum. That's how to start. And for the more of a spot cleaning situation, that's going to depend. Maybe use a water solvent or just water-based cleaner. Again, my recommendation, go to that hidden spot that's not visible before you tackle that a specific area you want to clean on.
Okay, so let's say I test the hidden spot and it seems like it's not staining or doing anything. So now I want to work on the real stain. What kind of a mixture is, like you say, a water mixture? Is that just warm water?
No, you can actually use your dish soap, and that will make it easier for you to do that blend with water. Mix it together and then clean that area. That's usually how you start, especially with vinyls, faux leathers, or genuine leathers.
So if I'm trying to get a stain out, do you recommend using like a steam cleaner ever to try to pull it out? Or if you're using a water and just common dish soap, are you scrubbing it in? I mean, what's the best way to sort of lift the stain?
Great question. No rubbing. It's more of a blot, not rub. So you have to dab it gently and get that stain. Well, first of all, if the stain recently happened, the first advice, and you saw the stain happening in front of your eyes, the first advice, act immediately.
Okay, the wine tips over on the couch, you're grabbing.
Yep. If you saw that the kid dropped something or somebody spilled some wine or somebody spilled a liquid into the furniture, act immediately. And this is where the blot, not rubbing, goes into play. After that, if you do have the recommendations of the manufacturer of how to properly address it, then you're going to apply that. But if you don't, try that hidden spot, and then you go and apply it against that stain.
Would sort of steam cleaning be the next step once you've tried all of the quick tricks?
Yes and no. The steam cleaner, it's going to take effect and depends on the material, though. There's some chenilles or velvets that if you steam it, you might ruin the entire fabric. So that's a no-no for certain materials. Okay. Velvets, they have these fibers that stick out, and chenilles are also very soft. So when you go in there and go straight as steaming it, you're going to flatten those surfaces. Now you're going to create a little situation where like you can't even get rid of it. Now it's all sticky. The hair is starting to look properly in place. So steaming it, I wouldn't recommend. Usually steaming is more for getting rid of the wrinkles than more of a cleaning aspect. So if you have a couple of wrinkles, and depends on the fabric, my recommendation, don't do it in a chenille, don't do it in a velvet, don't do it in a microfiber.
Okay. Are there any tools that you recommend when you're working with solvents or that water and dish soap combination?
Yeah, the most underrated tool, it's actually a white cloth.
A white cloth. Any specific material?
Something that's soft and it doesn't have a lot of fibers, but it's soft. And the reason is, if you grab any type of cloth and you're going cleaning a stain or you go cleaning a surface and the cloth is a different color, let's say a black or blue or whatever that is, you might end up transferring the dye color into your area you're trying to clean. If it's white, you can clean delicate materials, natural colors, and you're not going to leave stains on them.
And you're saying a cloth is better than something that's easy to grab, like maybe a paper towel, if you're blotting?
If you're blotting, yes. It's going to absorb more of the liquids.
And when it comes to leather specifically, is that something you can just wipe off with warm water if you get a damp cloth?
First, you dust it down with the dry cloth, and then you do that water. You put a little bit of water into the cloth, not into the actual furniture or the upholstery, and then you wipe it down. Same rule was going to apply for the imitation leather or the fake leather or the vinyls. Always dry clean it, dust it down, because that's actually diminishes the durability of the genuine leather, not dusting it down.
Is there any tips for how to sort of revive foam that has flattened, that's sort of making your cushions look more saggy, sort of loose fabric around the fabric or around the foam inside?
Yes, there is. So one of the things, if these cushions are removable, you can take the foam out. Hopefully it's a solid piece of foam. Now you can use your steamer to steam the foam. You're going to see the foam from going flat and start going back to its original stage. Then you grab that piece of foam and put it inside your cover, and that's how you get a new, fresh look on the padding aspect of it. Only if it's foam.
Well, and I think taking the covers off is, you're going to break a sweat. It's not for the faint of heart. You're going to have to work at it a little bit.
Absolutely. I agree with you. You're going to have to wrestle with this. You're going to throw it down. You're going to squeeze it. You're going to fold it. You're going to try to put it in there. And it is a task.
This is not a team building activity for couples.
That's for sure. It will be a fight. No, don't do it this way. Do it this other way. No, let me do it. It's a whole thing. Yes. A quick tip for that. Put a blanket on the floor or put something so that way you're not rubbing the cupboard or the cushion all over and now it's grabbing all this dust and all these particles into it. So use like a blanket or something where you can do that and it feels more easier to maneuver and you feel more comfortable putting it on the floor rather than just wrestling with it and in an area where it's dusty or has a lot of particles in there.
Undoing all your hard work.
Exactly.
Well, Mario, thank you so much. We appreciate all this information.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That was Mario Alfaro from Redesign Upholstery in Las Vegas, Nevada. And now it's time for one last thing, my favorite tool.
Hey, Jen, it's Ross Thui. I'm the building engineer for the show, and this is my favorite tool, the infrared thermal camera. We get called into houses all the time that have a lot of air leaks. How do you find out where those air leaks are? So if you have windows that are drafty, or if you have walls that are drafty, or insulation that's fallen in a wall cavity, and sometimes we have water leaks, all of that can be resolved and found with an infrared camera. By looking at the temperatures around a window, or around a wall, or in the basement of a house, or in the attic of a house, we can start to see where these air leaks are. And so that's one of my favorite tools that I use. And if you're looking to use an infrared camera, you can actually get one from your local library in many cases. So I definitely would start there.
We'll see you next week on This Old House Radio Hour. Our show is distributed by and co-produced by LAist Studios and APM, American Public Media. This Old House Radio Hour was created and produced by Ember 20. Listen to new episodes of the podcast every Tuesday on your app of choice. You can follow This Old House on all the socials at This Old House, all one word. We'll see you next week.
I'm Maggie Smith, host of The Slowdown, where each morning I invite you to step away from your to-do list and spend a few minutes with a moment of reflection and a poem from both beloved and emerging voices. Make it part of your morning ritual, on a walk, over breakfast, or while you get ready for the day. It's a daily moment of pause in a world that never stops moving. Find The Slowdown wherever you listen to podcasts.